Conservative new media viewers, Jeremy Lin fans around the world, and LA Lakers fans around the world. What is up? It's me, PFV, Paulette Villarreal, the NBA expert, and we're here to talk about in a long video format Houston's 108-90 victory over Jeremy and the Los Angeles Lakers tonight at Staples Center in Los Angeles, California. Now, we did a short video about this game as well, which you can check out if you'd like. If you don't have time to watch the longer video now, you can scope that out. The big news out of this game is that rookie Julius Randle broke his right tibia midway through the fourth quarter of this game, and it was about as strange of an injury as you'll ever see because nobody touched him. Julius was going up for a layup or a shot attempt from the right-handed side of the basket. He elevated on his right leg. He is a left-handed player, so that's kind of the jumping leg. And the leg just gave way. His left leg looked like it kicked the right leg slightly. Certainly not enough to do any major damage. Just, I don't know what happened. Just the leg gave way, essentially. And he was in a lot of pain, and they had to take him out on a stretcher. And look, it was said during the game that it's probably a better injury than suffering an Achilles tear. And I agree with that. Achilles is a career changer. A broken leg isn't necessarily that, although we don't know. Hopefully it's just a simple fracture and it can heal up quickly and he can return and be everything that he looked like he was going to be. But the Lakers' difficulty with injuries appears once again. There are a lot of people that thought that the problem was Mike D'Antoni and his fast-paced offensive style, but it just keeps going. I don't know what's going on. Reggie Miller said on TNT that it's almost like there's, I can't remember exactly what he said, not a curse, but just kind of a series of odd coincidences, and that beat appeared once again. And it's very unfortunate. We certainly wish the best to Julius and his family, and hopefully he can heal up quickly and completely. In terms of this game, the Lakers led once relatively early on, and then Houston got away from them. The biggest problem in this game for the Lakers was the first quarter. They let Houston beat them by 12 points in the first quarter, and they never fully caught up. They reeled them in a little bit, but the first and second quarters, they were outscored by 17 points, and the deficit was too much for them to make up, even though they played Houston fairly straight up. In the second half, it just, they weren't sharp enough early. And then Houston and a bit of the talent disparity took over, and the result was what it was. The good notes from this game, LA shot well from the free throw line. They shot almost 80%, which is terrific as a team. Also, they outscored Houston in the paint 40-34. So those were the positives from this game. Neither team shot particularly well. LA shot 35%, Houston 43%. The Lakers only attempted 10 three-pointers in the game, so the low three-pointer output that we have heard Coach Scott talk about. The Rockets hit 12 three-pointers on 29 attempts, which is one of the staples of their offensive attack, 41% on that. The Rockets hit 34 free throws, so they got 3 more points off of free throws than did the Lakers. They out-rebounded the Lakers by 11. Another good thing I should mention for the Lakers, in addition to the free throw percentage and the points in the paint, was that they only turned the ball over 11 times. That's really good. That's extremely good. That would have led the league in fewest in the 2013 and 14 season. So that's a very good sign. They just didn't have enough assists, though. They only had 16 assists. So going to need more assists than that, certainly. If you wanted to break this game down to one statistic and why the Lakers lost by 18 points, it would be the difference in made three-point shots. 12 made for Houston, 3 made for the Lakers. That is a difference of 9 made free throws in Houston's favor, and that's 27 points. So the Lakers lost by 18 points. You lose minus 27 on made three-pointers, and there you go. It's not as simple as that, but that's why people say this concept advanced by Coach Scott of shooting not a lot of threes, it might not work. It might not be able to be sustained in the modern NBA, where there's a substantial number of three-point attempts taken. So we have to look at that. As far as the game flow, the Lakers were down a considerable amount in the third quarter, and then they started to make a comeback. And I mentioned this in the short video. The comeback was begun by Jeremy Lin because he started to get into transition. He started driving to the basket. He started drawing attention to the defense and passing to open guys. And the Lakers started getting a rhythm. And they almost turned the corner. They got the lead down to 7 or 5 points. And then there was a quick sequence that happened that I'll talk about in a little bit that just kind of killed the momentum. And from there, Houston was able to push it, kind of just easily maintain the lead from that point on after they kind of regained control of the game. There's something I want to say, and I just forgot about it, what I was going to say. Dwight Howard and Kobe Bryant got into a minor altercation in the middle of the fourth quarter. Dwight Howard rebounded the ball, defensive rebound. He came down with it. Kobe Bryant was up close to Dwight, looking like he might try to go for a steal. Dwight swung his elbows, as you will often see players do when they want to clear a rebound. He hit Kobe with one of his elbows, and he might have hit him with both of them. I don't think it was a dirty play. I don't think Dwight was trying to hit Kobe. Kobe was a little bit of an instigator there, in my opinion, because he stayed there. He was trying to mess with Dwight a little bit. My thought is that Kobe was probably frustrated because of what was happening in the game and all the build-up and Kobe versus Dwight and all this stuff. Result of the play was double technicals, and Kobe got a personal foul. So that's what happened on that. And then about a minute or minute and a half later of game time, Julius Randle broke his leg. So a tough night, just a tough night overall for the purple and gold. And I'll get to Jeremy and some thoughts on the game and a little bit of quarter by quarter here in a moment. But that's kind of an overview of what took place in this game. The Lakers just, they got too far behind, and they weren't kind of able to get and maintain their rhythm. And look, they have talent disparity. They need more low post scoring. They need more talent. They need more youth with talent. But they could have won this game. They're still trying to figure out how to play with one another and how to play in Coach Scott's offense and that type of a thing. So they're going to improve. It's just not in sync yet against a quality team. Houston's not a great team, but they're a good team, and they know what they want to do. And they have pretty good chemistry with their core players. Those guys know how to play with one another. They've played with one another at least for a year. And LA's still figuring it out. And that kind of showed up tonight. Of course, LA's talent level is going to go down now with the subtraction of Julius Randle for however long he is out. As I mentioned in the short video, the good news additionally from this game was that Xavier Henry played, which is really good. He got a second opinion on his knee, I believe, issues that he's having with his knee. He went over to Germany and got the knee procedure done that Kobe Bryant had done. It's like stimulate the blood flow, get more recovery. That was very good to see him play tonight. That's really a good sign. Is Xavier going to offset Julius Randle? Probably not, although Xavier can score. And he has more experience than Julius Randle does, certainly at the pro level. So hopefully Xavier can kind of stay healthy and get up to playing shape quickly. That would definitely assist the Lakers. Ryan Kelly did not play. Of course, Steve Nash is out for the year. And I'm trying to think if I'm missing anybody else that sat out. Yes, Wayne Ellington is still out with a concussion. Also good for the Lakers was that Ronnie Price played after suffering that nasty knee bruise in the game against the Sacramento Kings. So he played, which was very good to see. He's a tough guy, and they need him for sure. Okay, let's go over a little bit of the game flow here. This is kind of, for those not familiar with these videos, I'm going to go over a little bit more of quarter by quarter here, what was going on for Jeremy during the game. But if there's any other plays of note that happened during this time just by anybody else on either team, then I'll mention that as well. Now, Jeremy had 2 turnovers, I believe, relatively quickly in this game, and I actually missed both of them. One I saw the very end of. The first one I did not see. Trevor Ariza stole the ball from Jeremy pretty early on in this game, and I was taking a note or something when it happened. And I think it was, the score was like 3-2 or something like that. And I didn't see it at all, so I can't comment on it. And then I believe Jeremy had another turnover that I saw the very end of. Terrence Jones stole the ball from Jeremy. When I looked back on the screen after taking a note, Jeremy was on the ground and the Rockets were going the other way. So that didn't help the Lakers. These turnovers early let Houston get out on the break, and people were saying on Twitter that Jeremy looked nervous, and he might have been. Here he is, he's on TV, new team, he's playing his old team. Sometimes guys will get a little too jazzed up at first. And that seems to be the case here. Jeremy was able to not turn the ball over after those early 2 turnovers. He didn't turn the ball over for almost the entire rest of the game until towards the end, or when the Lakers were trying to make a comeback. I'll say something more about that in a second. Overall, I thought Jeremy played pretty well after a tough early start. He was definitely better in the second half. And not only nerves or whatever, but you're also playing with Kobe. You're trying to get into sync with Kobe. You're trying to get more time and get used to playing with the first team, which he hasn't done a lot in training camp in the preseason. And I thought he played well in this game after the 2 turnovers, and he also went 0 for 2 early in this game. Both of those misses were on drives where he thought he got fouled. The first, we drove right into Dwight Howard's chest, put up the ball, no call. It was basically if you're familiar with the NBA, it was the kind of no call that Roy Hibbert gets. And the principle used is called verticality, which means that the defensive player can make contact with the offensive player if they jump straight up. If the defensive player jumps straight up, they are entitled to that space. And to be fair to Dwight, it looked like a pretty good play. But I will say this, in the past in the NBA, until about 2 or 3 years ago, the offensive player would get that call regularly. And so Jeremy's going to have to adjust to that. If the NBA is going to allow defensive players to do that more and more, then he's going to have to make adjustments. And the way that you adjust to that is you shoot a floater. Have a shot you can shoot on the move. That's not a jump shot, but a one-handed shot, a runner or a floater. Jeremy's been working on that, and that's the type of situation where you use it at. The second no call that Jeremy didn't get in the start of the game was a similar play. Dwight Howard had come out of the game, and Tarek Black, I believe, was in for him, and Jeremy basically did the same thing. He went into the lane, ran into Tarek Black. Tarek Black, the referee said, jump straight up, and there was no call. So Jeremy was aggressive early on offense. He did have the turnovers, and as I said, besides that, I liked the way that he played in this game, particularly the way he played in the third quarter. He came back strong. I don't have a problem that he went 1 for 5, particularly because he wasn't getting some of these calls early, so he kind of adjusted a little bit. I don't like the turnovers. And the 2 turnovers that happened, again, I didn't see the first 2, so I can't comment on them. The 2 that happened late in the game, I didn't like. And it's something that I've seen before, and I'll make a comment about that in a little bit. I'm not going to get all over him, but that was the only thing I didn't like about his game tonight. Okay, maybe he came out a little too nervous. That's fine. That happens every now and then, especially when you're on a new team and it's the start of the year. That'll go away. I'm not worried about that. Well, not completely. I'll mention something about that with the turnovers. I'm not worried about the field goal percentage. I'm just worried about the turnovers from this game. Everything else I don't have a problem with in terms of the way that Jeremy played. Also, let me say, Kobe played solidly in this game. Now, it did take him 17 shots to get 19 points, and he didn't shoot a good percentage. Shot maybe 35% or so. But as I mentioned during the preseason, you're going to see a lot of this. And Charles Barkley talked about this between the first game and the second game. The first game was Spurs versus Dallas, if you saw this game in the United States on TNT. This is what you're going to see from Kobe a lot. High shot volume to get the points, but he will get his points, and you will see good flashes. He made some good plays. He hit some nice shots. Houston was doubling him, which is going to happen a lot to Kobe this year because they're going to make the opponent's going to make somebody else beat them. They know Kobe can score. Well, who else can score? They talked about this during the game. Jeremy can score, but he wasn't able to really get it going tonight. Kobe had trouble on a couple of plays in this game in terms of explosiveness. And this is what I've talked about before in terms of the results of the injury. So you will see more of this year. The good thing for Kobe is he's smart enough and skilled enough to get beyond it. And he'll make adjustments to it. Look, Houston's not, they're not an elite team anymore if they were last year. I don't think that they are. But they have Howard, they have Harden, and they're athletic. They're long. Those are the type of teams that are going to give Kobe problems because you have a shot blocker in Dwight Howard, and you've got long defenders like Trevor Ariza, and you've got bouncy athletic guys like Terrence Jones. So those are the type of defenders and help defenders that can come out and rotate off their man and block a jump shot. And so because Kobe's going to be taking more jump shots than drives, he's going to have some of those nights. Kobe used to be able to elevate over everybody on his jump shot. And it's going to be harder for him to do that now with the leg injuries and with the mileage. So you will see some of that this year, but that's just what it is. You just have to accept that. That's what it's going to be. Carlos Boozer played well in this game. 17.7 boards. He was the most efficient Laker on the night. Also, Ed Davis again played well. 11 points and 6 boards in only 22 minutes, although Ed did foul out. Coming back to Jeremy, though. So he had that tough start. 0 for 2 field goals on 2 non-calls and 2 turnovers. So this was the anxious time, or whatever you want to call it. Also, I should note for Jeremy Lin fans that Patrick Beverley finished this game with 9 points, 5 boards, and 5 assists. A couple of those, actually, I think the majority of that scoring came when Jeremy was out of the game. For a lot of this game, I thought Jeremy got the better of Patrick. And actually, at one point, Patrick drove on Jeremy. Jeremy had good defense on him. Patrick did a spin pivot move, which is similar to what Jeremy does, and he shot an air ball from about 7 feet. And that was because of Jeremy's defense. So Patrick was able to pad his stats going against Ronnie Price, which is somewhat ironic given that Price is probably going to start over Jeremy for defensive purposes. So that's kind of giving the insight into how Patrick looked tonight in terms of as compared with how Jeremy looked. Yes, so as I said, the no fouls, I'm looking out here. Jeremy came out of the game because he had 2 personal fouls with 6 minutes and 28 seconds left in the first quarter. At that point, the Lakers were down 7 points. And so this was the early jittery moments of Jeremy. And then he did and would get better. And as I said, I wrote notes there. Use the floater against the big man and use your jump shot. Jeremy he's a good jump shooter, better than a lot of people think he is. I believe he's also a better jump shooter off of the dribble than he is as a catch and shoot player, meaning no dribbles. So you don't have to just use the floater. You can also use your jump shot. And this will get better. This will get better as time goes on. Let me see here. I also did not see the first couple fouls that Jeremy committed. The 2 fouls before he was taken out of the game. So I cannot comment on how physical he was being and whether those fouls were legit. And we've talked about we want Jeremy to be more physical on defense. Patrick beat him once or twice off the dribble. And that's going to happen. Patrick's smaller than Jeremy. We've talked about Jeremy and lateral foot speed and this type of stuff. But if you noticed, when Patrick beat Jeremy, one time Ed Davis blocked Patrick's shot like into the first row, which was a fantastic block. When Patrick got by Jeremy, he was still scared. And that is because he knows Jeremy's good at recovering on defense. Jeremy, you'll get by him and then he'll block your shot from behind. That's a respect factor that Patrick has for Jeremy. And again, that doesn't show up in a lot of analyst breaking down of Jeremy and his defense. So I remember Zach Lowe saying last year, oh yeah, people get by Jeremy easy. Yeah, and then what happens? It's not, the play's not over when they get by him. Jeremy, again, as I said, he will recover and track you down and harass you. And that should be taken in. That shows up in the advanced stats, but it doesn't show up in the eye test. And so when people say Jeremy's bad at defense, they don't take that into account. And that's not fair. That's why you have things like advanced stats and things to kind of help give more information about this. Ronnie Price finished this game with, looking here at his numbers, 7 points, 1 rebound, and 3 assists. Now, Ronnie shot 1 of 7 from the field, which isn't good, but he did have 2 steals, and he also had 2 turnovers. Ronnie played a solid game, kind of like Jeremy. He played well, not great, but he played okay. He played well. He played solidly, even though he didn't shoot the ball that well. He did have trouble with Patrick during a streak where Patrick was able to score against him in a little burst. So there was a little bit of trouble there. But look, Ronnie's, particularly with the roster the way that it is and Steve Nash not around, Ronnie's going to be really important this year, regardless of whether he's starting or coming off the bench. And I'll talk about something with lineups here in a second, too, another reason why Ronnie's going to be important. There was a lot of discussion during this game about the entire media airing out of Kobe Bryant, and all the discussion and all of the ESPN article by Henry Abbott and Reggie Miller said the sources were cowardly for being anonymous. You have to understand something, though. I believe I mentioned this in a different video. To be fair to Reggie, he didn't say that the article was false, which some of the people who've defended Kobe tried to say or imply that because the sources were anonymous that the article was false. The reason why people don't want to have their names attached to this is because Kobe's popular. So you don't necessarily want to put your name to something because then you're going to face the wrath of Kobe fans or Jeannie Buss or somebody else, or maybe you as a front office member of a team is going to have to deal with a player that likes Kobe Bryant. So if you come out and you rip Kobe Bryant and your name's behind it, then you're going to have to deal with the fallout of that. And that's why people do anonymous stuff. Now, there are cases or have been cases where there's quote-unquote anonymous sources that are made up. Do I think that happened in this case? Probably not. Because there are plenty of people around the league who aren't Kobe fans. So I don't have any trouble believing some of what was said, or that it was said. And a lot of the sources for Henry Abbott seem to be agents, to be fair as well. So that was discussed. All of this was talked about throughout the broadcast, particularly during one session. And early in the second quarter, Rachel Nichols interviewed Jeannie Buss, the president of the Lakers. And they talked about, because Jeannie came out and she defended Kobe, and she basically said during the interview with Rachel Nichols that she quote-unquote snapped in terms of reacting to the criticism of Kobe. It's understandable. Kobe's been there for 18 years. He's made the Busses a lot of money, so they're going to defend him. And it's understandable, and I think a lot of fans of the Lakers were happy that Jeannie said what she said. Basically, she said that if players don't want to play with Kobe, they're losers. And Kobe, defending himself, told Rachel Nichols earlier, look, I've won 5 rings and I've been to 7 finals. And so if you play with me, that's what you're going to get. That was his response to all of this discussion and chattering. It was also mentioned during the contest by the announcers that Dwight Howard, his back still wasn't quite right, even going into this just finished summer. Now, of course, this was brought up because when Dwight played with the Lakers 2 years ago, he came back quickly from back surgery, I believe, and he definitely wasn't healthy then. If you watched him play during that period of time, he took a lot of criticism, but he didn't look right. He didn't look right. And it has been said by the Rockets that when they acquired Dwight, he was only 60% healthy. And apparently he's still trying to get his full health back, or was trying to do so through this last summer. So hopefully he'll be able to do that. Dwight's not the same player that he was when he was in Orlando. He was much more explosive in Orlando. Some of it's age, and if you get back surgery, you're almost never the same, based upon the history of back surgeries for athletes. A good case study from the NBA is David Robinson. David Robinson was incredibly athletic, fast, pogo stick in terms of jumping. Then he had back surgery, and he definitely had diminished after that. I think some of that's happened to Dwight. And he can still be a great player, but he has to play differently, almost in a similar way to like Kobe. You have to play more on the ground. You need more moves. You need more footwork, this type of a thing. Now, Ronnie had a very nice defensive play early in the second period. He went to help out on defense against Dwight Howard. So he left his man, and he went, and Dwight Howard had the ball on the left-hand side of the paint area. And Dwight was going to do a move, and Ronnie stripped the ball from him. It was a good, aggressive play. That's the kind of play that we want to see Jeremy make. Now, to be fair, Jeremy's very good at help defense. Very good. It was a nice, aggressive play by Ronnie, and I wanted to, I definitely made a note of that, and that stuck out to me. I like that. There were times during this game where Kobe brought the ball up the court. So, particularly in the first half, where Jeremy was a little out of rhythm, and Kobe will do this. If Kobe doesn't think you're getting the job done, or Kobe just wants to take over, he'll bring the ball up. He will initiate the offense. He'll kind of he'll control the ball. He did this with Steve Nash. He's done it with other players. And so I tell Jeremy Lin fans, you will see this. I know it looks like James Harden, but it won't happen as much. And you'll usually see it more if whoever Kobe's playing with, is struggling a little bit. So he won't do it necessarily until he sees you struggle. Or, like I said, he wants to take over the game. He decides it's his time to do it, and so he'll do it. I thought he did it in this period of time because Jeremy was struggling a little bit. In fact, let me correct myself here. Jeremy had the first turnover early in the game, and then he had this other fall-down turnover steal by Terrence Jones in the second quarter, middle of the second quarter. I did miss both of them because I was taking notes, but it wasn't bunched together. After that turnover, that's when Kobe brought the ball up, and he was probably upset about whatever happened with Jeremy. And as we've said with Jeremy, to be more aggressive on defense, Jeremy does have a good dribble, better than a lot of people think, but don't let guys maul you and kind of whatever. Because, again, Jeremy ended up on the ground on that play, even though I didn't see it. You got to be aggressive defending the ball, defending yourself. So I just made a note about that. Then I thought that Jeremy, at that point in time, and he hadn't done much in the game. He hadn't scored yet. He hadn't really done anything. And so then he had the two turnovers, and Kobe had just basically taken the ball away from him. And I thought then that Jeremy lost confidence. And that I didn't like that. And I know somebody just mentioned it in the comments of the short video. I just read it really quickly, and I'm sorry I'm forgetting who it is right now. This is what we've discussed. This is what I discussed in the last video, in the update video. And this is something that I know was talked about when Jeremy was in Houston all the time. There was an undercurrent that you got a sense that was happening in practices, that Jeremy would lose his confidence. And I thought he lost his confidence there in the middle of the second quarter. Now, you drive twice into the lane, you don't get calls. Okay, that's fine. That's going to happen. He tried to get the calls. He tried to sell the calls. That's fine. He had the one turnover, okay, early in the game. The second turnover, again, I didn't see it, so I can't comment on it. But he ended up down on the ground, and then Kobe takes the ball from you. And then, like I said, it's almost like Jeremy started thinking too much and just kind of faded away into the offense. He can't do that. Somebody mentioned this again in the comments. Hey, look, if he plays like this, Ronnie's going to take the starting spot. Yeah, I agree with that. He will take the starting spot. And like I said, this did seem to be an issue in Houston. There were discussions about Jeremy's great when he's confident, and is Jeremy competitive enough? And this kind of a thing. And Jeremy was extremely hard on himself, which was something he had to learn to fight in Houston. And he has learned that. He's improved dramatically in that. He just he'd be so down after a game when he didn't play well. You saw this a little bit after the Kings game. When Jeremy was interviewed after the Kings game, the final preseason game, the first thing he said was that he missed a free throw, which is good. If he had made the free throw, then the best that the Kings could have done was tied the game with a three-pointer. But when he said it, you could tell that he was still kind of beating himself up about it. Well, you can't do that. You can't do that. And so I think that mental process of over-criticism of himself, combined with a whole bunch of other people doubting him unfairly, it messes with him. And he's come a long way with this. He's much better than he used to be and with all of this. With pregame jitters, with doubting himself and losing confidence, but he still has further to go with it. I mentioned in the update video that the last piece of the puzzle for Jeremy might be the more aggressive defense, which is true. He does need to keep working on that. But he still has to get even stronger mentally. More competitive. Don't get down on yourself. Keep your head in the game. Like I said, this happens to people, no matter how talented you are. LeBron James had trouble. If you look at his career, look at the criticism that he took. He had trouble or was criticized as being mentally weak until at least his 8th or 9th season. Minimum. It basically went all the way through until the 2011-2012 season and the 2012 playoffs. He was essentially criticized in the 2011 finals for being mentally weak, disappearing in the finals. Opposing players were talking trash to him because he thought you'd get into his head. So this can happen to even the best. Jeremy needs to continue to work on this. Kobe taking the ball from you, that doesn't mean anything. He does that to everybody. So don't take it personally. But if I were Jeremy, and I were Jeremy's team, because this goes to the defensive aggressiveness. This has to do with mindset. And I'm not kidding about this. And I like Jeremy, and I'm the last person in the world that would diss Jeremy. If I were him and his team, I would think seriously about possibly working with a sports psychologist. Not because Jeremy's messed up, quote unquote, but because he wants his mind to be as strong as it can be. When Jeremy's confident, he's a confident guy by nature. Very confident. Sometimes too confident. But when he loses confidence, he loses it quickly and it falls rapidly. I can relate to that. I could be like that when I play and just in general. As a player, as an athlete, or just in life, you don't want that. And again, I can tell you that personally. I've had that. When people where when they fall down or when they have adversity, they fall off a cliff quick. Whereas other people, they kind of fall off the bed, but it's not a big deal. But some people, they fall off the cliff. Jeremy's worked so hard to get to where he's at. He doesn't have a lot of dramatic weaknesses left. The defensive thing, this mental thing. He's come a long way with it. This is something he must strengthen to reach his full potential. And that's why I mentioned this about a sports psychologist or whatever. And I know there's at least one team in the league, they have a sports psychologist on staff. And I can't remember who it is. I want to say the Indiana Pacers, but I'm not sure about that. Many teams will have consulting people. You don't have to tell anybody. Nobody has to know. It doesn't matter. You've got to come up with a mental process or a system. When Jeremy has these lapses or when he starts to slip a little bit, you have to have some type of a trigger, a thought, a word, a process to stay away from that and get out of that. Now, to Jeremy's credit, he got out of it quick in the third quarter. Again, I'm saying this because I like Jeremy and I want him to be the best and to get to his potential and to be consistent. And I think a lot of the reason why he is not consistent or why he has struggled with his consistently is because of mental reasons. So again, I'm not saying this to diss Jeremy. I'm saying this because I want him as strong as possible. And he has eliminated the majority of his issues, and I want him to eliminate this as quickly as he can. Don't want to see this hold him back. And I can tell you right now, somebody that watched LeBron most of his career, it held LeBron back for a long time. What LeBron had to do to get beyond his pregame jitters or whatever is he would read books before the game. And I don't know exactly what it is, but if I had to guess, it was so he would think less. It's like a distraction of the mind. Again, I can relate to this personally. People who are very intelligent, LeBron's very smart, Jeremy's very smart, they can think just too much. And sometimes that thinking can go negative. What if I mess this up? What if I miss the free throw? What if I think Jeremy has some of that. And like I said, what's not fair, but what Jeremy does have to deal with, is he has to deal with all the haters and all the people that say he can't play because he's from Harvard or because he's of Asian heritage. So he has a lot more junk to filter than the average player does. So again, I'm not saying this as a sign of weakness or waving a white flag if he works with somebody on his mind. It's, you want your mind to be steel. You want it to be invulnerable from this as much as possible. And Jeremy will go to God. That's how he got over his pregame jitters. And again, whatever works. I'm just telling him and his fans and his team keep sharpening this. Or maybe it's just part of his developmental process. That's fine. Like I said, it took LeBron a very long time. But this is one of the only things that's still there for him, in my opinion. So I just want to see him continue to work on this, because it does appear like it's been a thing for him, and it's hurt him. And I don't want that to happen anymore. So that's why I'm bringing it up. Okay, moving on. Yes, soon after that, Jeremy recovered well, and he had a nice assist where he was driving down, and this was midway through the second quarter. When I say midway, I mean between 8 minutes left and 4 minutes left in the second quarter. I break down quarters by 3 sections: early, middle, late. 4-minute increments. Jeremy was driving down the middle of the lane in transition. Carlos Boozer was running behind him. He just kind of left the ball there for Carlos, picked it up, scooped it up, shot, I believe, a left-handed layup, and was fouled. Great play by Jeremy. Then soon after that, this was where Patrick Beverley got around him on offense. Jeremy recovered, got back in front of Patrick. Patrick did the stop and then pivot move, which Jeremy does all the time, but Jeremy was right on him, and Patrick shot an air ball from, 9 feet or something like this. Then I believe Jeremy had 3 to 4 blown assists in this game. A blown assist is where Jeremy passed the ball to a man who then made a shot and missed it. So if they would have made it, Jeremy would have gotten an assist. But they did not make it, so it's a blown assist possibility for Jeremy. Reggie Miller and Kevin Harlan, who were the announcers for this game, then continued to say, where are the Lakers going to get scoring from? Where are they going to get scoring from? Where are they going to get scoring from? And they mentioned Ed Davis and Julius Randle, which is fair, but Jeremy can score. We know he can score. So it was a little bit annoying for them not to mention Jeremy during that point in time. At halftime of the game, it was 62 to 45 for the Rockets. So as I said, Houston was down the Lakers were down 17 midway through this game, and they never quite got it back. But Jeremy stepped it up nicely in the third quarter. He came out. He was aggressive. He, early on in the third quarter, drove and drew a foul on Dwight Howard. That was the 4th foul on Dwight Howard, and Dwight Howard had to sit. So I said that the comeback in the third quarter began with Jeremy Lin, and it did. And it began with that play right there. By getting Dwight Howard out of the game, you then have an easier path on offense getting to the rim. And so that's when it began. And Howard was replaced by Donatas Motiejunas, who is taller than Dwight Howard, but not nearly the same rim protector that Dwight Howard is. Then Jeremy stole the ball. Patrick Beverley was driving on offense on the right-handed side. Jeremy forced him to the baseline, which is typical defensive strategy. Patrick was falling out of bounds. He threw the ball back in bounds. Jeremy stole the ball then, and then he was fouled in transition. At that point in time, the announcers started to talk about Jersey Gate. If you're not familiar with Jersey Gate is what happened when the Houston Rockets put up a gigantic billboard on their arena with Carmelo Anthony wearing the number 7 jersey, which of course was Jeremy's jersey at the time. And Jeremy wasn't really thrilled about that, which he mentioned that he didn't make a huge deal out of it, but he said he wasn't thrilled about it. So the announcers brought this up. And I believe Kevin Harlan said that, yeah, Jeremy kind of knew at that point in time that what they thought of him or something along those lines. And many Jeremy Lin fans agreed with that assessment. So it's not a real surprise that Jeremy isn't there anymore. Then Jeremy got a nice pick and roll play. I don't remember who set the pick. It was on the left-hand side of the free throw line. Jeremy going right to left, drove down the left-hand side of the paint and finished with his left hand, and he was also fouled by Terrence Jones on the play. He hit the free throw, and then Reggie Miller was like, yeah, this is what Jeremy can do. This is what we want to see him do. Kobe on the play was very excited. You could see him pump his fist, and then he was talking to Jeremy afterward, probably saying something to the effect of, yeah, that's what we got to do. That's what we want you to do. Good job, etc. At that point in time, the Lakers were on an 8-1 run. They had cut the lead down to 11 points. Then, after that, we're heading to the middle of the third quarter. Jeremy did one of the drive, draw, and dishes play. You drive towards the basket. You draw a second defender, meaning you draw someone else's defender because you've beaten your defender off the dribble. And then you dish the ball to the man whose defender came to guard you. And he drove from the left-hand side of the offensive floor, drove towards the basket. Carlos Boozer's man left to help out on Jeremy, and Jeremy just dished the ball over to Carlos Boozer, who was just standing there on the right side of the basket for an easy layup, and that forced the Houston timeout. Jeremy is very good at making plays that force opponents' timeouts because they're either big momentum plays, they're spectacular, like a lob for a dunk or something like this. Now the Lakers were rolling, and Jeremy was rolling. So as much as I want him to work on stuff in his mind, he definitely came back strong in the third quarter. And this is what we want to see. And he can do this, and nobody can do this for 48 straight minutes, not 9 after 9. We just don't want him to have confidence dips at all. You're going to have tough times. You're going to have tough stretches. And to be fair to Jeremy, it's going to take him time to get over what happened to him in Houston, which was the sometimes we referred to it as the hot stock, cold stock, which is McHale. If you make one mistake, you're out of the game. Or I should say, if you make one mistake and you're Jeremy Lin, you're out of the game. If you make one mistake and you're James Harden, you're not out of the game. So what happens when you do that with the players, they do lose confidence. They get scared to make any mistakes. And then you end up making a whole bunch of mistakes. So Byron Scott might not operate that way. I don't think he does, based upon tonight. But it will take Jeremy time to adjust to that. So I want to be fair to Jeremy about that. It's going to take him his own time to get over the Houston PTSD, which is, it will take time for us fans to do that as well. My Byron Scott said at halftime, look, according to Rachel Nichols, who reported it, want the team to compete harder, whatever. Somebody probably pumped Jeremy up at halftime, and he came out on fire. He came out playing in an insanity mode, and he was aggressive. And again, to be fair, he tried to be aggressive early in the game. He just didn't get any foul calls. Then you have to adjust to that. Okay, they're not going to call fouls when I drive to the basket, so I'm going to shoot a jump shot. Or I'm going to drive to the basket and then pass it. So I said, be careful on the turnovers. Be physical, including physical on defense, and be physical defending the ball when you're dribbling it. And don't lose confidence. Keep confident. And learn slowly that Byron Scott will keep confidence in you, even though in similar situations Kevin McHale may not have. So we come out of the timeout. It is 66-57 Houston. Lakers have cut the lead down to 9. I think it had ballooned up to at least 18, maybe even, actually no, it was more than that. It was 20-something. And the Lakers had then cut that down to 9 points. Then, let's see here. Jeremy Lin, he did another drive, draw, and dish. he passed the ball to Jordan Hill, and then Jordan Hill passed the ball back to Jeremy. But before he passed it, Jordan Hill was fouled. So Jordan Hill then had 2 free throws to shoot. So once again, Jeremy had set up somebody for an easy shot. And it ended up in 2 free throws. I believe that Jordan Hill made both of them, or at least he made one of them. And then right after that, the announcer, Rachel Nichols, reported that Kevin McHale said that we didn't demote Jeremy Lin because of his offense, but more because they liked Beverly's defense. So it's a little bit of kind of, that's the truth. That's what was said at the time anyway. So it's nothing new for Jeremy Lin fans to hear this, but the nation might not know it as well. And look, it seemed like a gracious remark by Kevin McHale, and that's fine. And it doesn't matter now. It's Houston's over with. And Rachel Nichols also reported that Jeremy Lin said that he had no ill will towards Houston, but that he had been hardened. That's kind of a pun. You got hardened. He had been hardened by the experience, and that's good. That's what I was saying in the update video. There are politics. There are coaches differences. You will get the coaches that are hot stock, cold stock, and they will take you out when you make one mistake. There are coaches like that. So the more you can become immune to that, the better. That's, again, the tighter your mind will get, the more steel-like your mind will get. And that's what Jeremy needs. And that experience did help him do that. And that's good. That's good. Again, Jeremy would beat himself up like crazy over losses in Houston, particularly in the first year. Then he got better about it, I think, in the second year, and hopefully it'll be even better this year. Just keep working on it. Just keep working on it. Like I said, that's one of the few remaining things left for him to do, in my opinion. He still has things to work on and things to sharpen. I think that's one of the key ones for him to continue to work on to reach his full potential. So the Lakers had cut the lead down all the way to 7 from whatever it was, 20-something or something along these lines. The announcers mentioned that the Lakers had picked up their defense, and they definitely had. At that point in time, Houston had 6 turnovers in the quarter. And the Lakers were looking good, real good. Then things turned, and they turned back to Houston. Here was the sequence that happened. Jeremy came down off of Carlos Boozer, got a defensive rebound, I believe. He handed the ball to Jeremy. Jeremy said something to Carlos. Jeremy came down, and he was just about maybe 5 degrees off to the right of the top of the arc, and he took a three-pointer, and he missed it pretty badly. It just wasn't a good shot. It wasn't a bad to take the shot, but it wasn't a good online shot. And I don't know what happened. It just wasn't the shot that he wanted. He just didn't have good aim on the shot for whatever reason. And then James Harden came back down the other end in transition off of Jeremy's miss, and he got an and one layup, I believe. And on that play, Kobe got his 4th foul. And I'm trying to think then the Lakers went down the next thing, and they missed again, and then Houston was fouled in transition once again. So it was kind of like, I'm not blaming Jeremy for this, but that was the sequence. It was 4 possessions. Jeremy misses a 3, Harden fouled on and one, Lakers miss another shot, Houston fouled in transition, and that switched all the momentum. That turned all the momentum. Again, the camera angle on Jeremy's three-pointer was from behind him, so I couldn't see the defense. I don't know why he missed it like that. I don't know if he was a really good defense or whatever, because they didn't show it. You just couldn't see. We were basically looking at Jeremy Lin's back. from a distance. But I thought that kind of turned things around, and then Houston kind of started to steady the ship up a little bit from there. Then let me see here. Jeremy played very good defense against Jason Terry, and we're still middle of the third quarter here now, but Jason Terry still hit a shot even though Jeremy was right on him. And then he had a nice drive, draw, and dish Jeremy did to Ed Davis. That Ed Davis converted. Trevor Ariza hit a 3 against Kobe. Terrence Jones picked up his 4th foul, which was a good sign, although that would not come into play. Then heading into late into the third quarter, Julius Randle had a nice drive, draw, and dish of himself. He saw Jeremy over on the left-hand side, about 45 degrees left of the top of the arc, and Jeremy was wide open for 3. Julius drove on his man on the right side, dished it out to Jeremy, but first Julius Randle was fouled before then. Jeremy hit a technical free throw on an illegal defense call late in the third. This is where Jeremy had the other 2 bundled turnovers. He had 2 turnovers late in the third quarter. The first one, he was on the right-hand side of the court. He had stopped his dribble, and he was passing the ball from the right-hand side of the court all the way over to the left-hand side of the court. And the defense read the play. And these were the 2 turnovers that bothered me. Now, the other ones might have bothered me too if I saw them, but I didn't see them. This is where I really, and this to me is mentality and nerves. Don't rush the pass. Sometimes Jeremy will, again, I'm only saying this because I'm focused on Jeremy Lin, as these videos are. I'm focused on him, so I'm always going to point out more stuff with him, including negative stuff, than I will on other players. And I want him to maximize his potential. So if I see something, and I don't think it's maximized, I'm going to say it because I want him to be the best. Sometimes Jeremy plays like he's in panic. And this is the mentality and the anxiety thing. Don't go to panic mode just because you've lost your dribble and you need to make a pass. Just calm down. You don't have to pass. You don't have to force something. You don't have to make a desperation heave. Let the man come to you. Now, if there's 5 seconds left on the shot clock, and there might have been something like that in this situation, okay, all right, that's fine. Then you are in panic. Too many times, Jeremy will get like this when there is no panic. There is no emergency, but it's like his mind goes to that there's no need for it. Take your time. And I mentioned this in the preseason with the passes that he would throw to guys posting up around the free throw line. Don't rush these passes. If you're going to throw a pass, even sometimes fake the pass. Because if someone is looking to make a steal and you fake the pass, you'll see them. You'll draw them out. They'll go for the fake. Take your time. It's again, as somebody that likes Jeremy and watches him a lot, it's frustrating when he does this because this is where a number of his turnovers had happened in the past. He had just rushed it for no reason. So this turnover looked like that. Then he drew a foul. This was nice. He was driving on the left baseline, and he drew a foul. Almost got an and one. The shot didn't go in. He made both free throws. Then he tried a very high arcing shot off of the backboard that he just missed. He was looking for a foul on that play as well. It wasn't a bad shot. No problem with the shot at all. And then he had another turnover, which was his fourth of the game and his final one of the game. And again, this was in a very short period of time with the other one. He was under a little bit of pressure on his dribble. I think he was trying to pass the ball over to the left again, and he forced it. He rushed it, and Houston saw it, and they sensed it, and they got the pass again. And like I said, again, it's one game, not going crazy here. Jeremy was fantastic in the preseason with turnovers until the last game or two. He still had a good ratio. Don't rush passes. Now, Jeremy had 6 assists in this game and 4 turnovers. It's like 1.5 to 1. It's okay, but you're looking more for 2 to 1, 3 to 1 assist to turnover ratio. If Jeremy will just stay calm in these situations, he will avoid more turnovers. He can control this. Sometimes you get turnovers because of speed. You play a certain style, you're going to get certain turnovers. And that's fine, that's acceptable. And Jeremy plays at a high pace. So it will happen. But some of these turnovers don't have to happen. And at least 2 of these didn't have to happen. And that's why I'm concerned about it. That's why I want it to change. That's why I'm making a big deal out of it. These don't need to happen, and this is mentality. Don't get anxious when there's no anxiety. Don't rush. Don't hurry. Let the man come to you. Let your teammates come to you. They'll help you out. Just let it happen. And then instead of 4 turnovers, you have 2 turnovers. And then you have a 6 assist, 2 turnovers game, 3 to 1 ratio, and you look fantastic. So that's the last I'm going to talk about that subject in this game, or in this video, at least for now. Okay, going to the fourth quarter. The game started getting out of hand. Houston was up by 21 points, and then Byron Scott early in the fourth put Jeremy and Kobe back in. He was trying to make a run, and what we saw here for the first time, or actually it might have been the second time in this game, we saw Ronnie and Jeremy and Kobe in it all at the same point. So Ronnie playing point guard, Jeremy playing shooting guard, Kobe playing small forward. I think you will see this alignment more. We saw this in Houston. Patrick Beverly playing point guard, Jeremy playing shooting guard, James Harden playing small forward. It worked in Houston, and I think it will work here in LA. You have your 2 playmakers on the court at the same time, or at least 2 playmakers with Nick Young and Steve Nash out. Ronnie's on there playing good defense at the point, if you want that, just like Patrick. But you still have Jeremy in the mix. You have your 2 best playmakers and probably your 2 best scorers on the court at the same time. So I'm glad that Byron went with that, and it looked good. Now, it didn't have great results at this point in time, but it's something I think that can work. It's something that I think can be successful. And then Jeremy had a nice little assist bundle. He had a couple of assists going from the early in the fourth, going into the middle of the fourth. And he also had a blown assist. So middle of the fourth was when we had the play with Kobe and Dwight. Again, LA missed their shot. Dwight got a defensive rebound on the left-hand side of the basket. And Kobe was right up on him, looking to steal him, get a steal and harass him. And then Dwight landed 1 elbow, maybe 2. They started talking double technicals, personal foul Kobe, and then the coaches took Dwight and Kobe out of the game. And as I said, unfortunately, very shortly thereafter, Julius Randle broke his leg. Again, he wasn't touched on the play. He was just going up for not a layup, basically a runner off the glass from maybe 7 feet. It didn't look like anything at first. It looked like nothing. People thought he turned his ankle. It didn't seem like anything. But then they went to commercial and they came back and he was still hadn't moved. So it's like, oh boy. Uh-oh, no. So all prayers with him and all thoughts, and we certainly hope that they can come back quick. And after that happened, as I said earlier, Byron Scott pulled Jeremy out of the game, and it was basically like, okay, all second team now, nobody else get hurt. And it was kind of like the crowd was quiet. It was almost like the game had ended, because for the Lakers fans and the Lakers, it's like, they can't believe how many injuries they've had. We don't want any more injuries, so it's like, okay, just whatever. Just don't get hurt. Basically, it was the last 5 or 6 minutes of this game, and that's the way it ended, 108-90. Houston wins. That's the overriding thing that happened in this game. What I saw was that one team was in sync, Houston was in sync, and LA was not in sync. LA was, again, they were a little jittery at the start. Jeremy was a little jittery. The team was a little geeked up. And Houston was sharp. LA was not. They picked it up in the third quarter. They picked up their play on both ends. They weren't quite able to get over the hump. Houston was then able to take control and hold on to it. And then you had the frustration issue between Kobe and Dwight. And then you had the injury with Julius. And then that was basically the end of the game when that took place, with Houston getting the deserved victory. And LA going back to the training room and back to the drawing board. Now, the Lakers will be playing tomorrow night, so they have a tough early schedule. They're playing 3 games in 4 nights, and they will be playing back-to-back here to begin. The game tomorrow night will take place in Phoenix. It will be against the Suns at 10 p.m. Eastern Time, which means 7 p.m. Pacific Time, and that means 10 a.m. Eastern Time very early on Thursday, October 30th, in the Philippines, in Taiwan, and in China. Let me look really quickly to see if that game is on television here in the United States. I'm not sure if it is. No, it is not. So that which means it will be covered on League Pass. If you have it, it'll be covered on, I believe, Time Warner Cable, Sportsnet, I would imagine. And look, hopefully the team can bounce back. But Phoenix will be ready. It's their home opener. They're going to be rested and I'm sure excited to get a home victory against a team that's not regarded well. Of course, these teams played in preseason. It's going to be tough. It's going to be a challenging game. I think the Lakers can get it done. Kobe's not going to play as many minutes tomorrow, or maybe he will because he only played 30 minutes tonight. So it's possible. I think he'll play, but well, we'll see. I mean, Byron Scott said he'll play between 25 and 40 minutes, I believe, tomorrow. I think that's what he said. That's a lot of leeway. It'll be tough without Julius. Julius is important, as we talked about before. If the team comes out, if Phoenix is flat and the Lakers are sharp, yeah, they could win it, and that'd be a great win. I definitely want to see Jeremy come out strong tomorrow, and I think that we'll see better from him early tomorrow than we saw tonight. Again, I think he did have some nerves and some jitters, so that's what it is. Okay, that's about it. It's a long video. Give us your thoughts below. What did you see? Am I right? Am I wrong? Did I miss some things? Did you see something that I missed? How do you think about Julius? How long is he going to be out for? Do you have an idea? Is he going to come back and be the same? Is he going to be diminished? You tell me. Thumbs up, thumbs down. And, of course, we encourage you to come and join the Conservative Media Facebook group and follow us on Twitter. You'll find all of that information in the video description below the video player. You'll also find information for video highlights of this game, so you can check it out if you were not able to see it. Once again, I am Paul Filariel, PFV, the NBA expert. Thanks for watching Conservative Media. We strive to be the #1 Jeremy Lin YouTube fan channel. It is 3:37 a.m. right now, early on Wednesday, October 29th, 2014. That means it is 12:37 a.m. in Los Angeles right now on Wednesday, and it is 3:37 p.m. right now in the Philippines, in Taiwan, and in China. Again, we are not going to be able to have the person who translates our games do the stuff right now. I'll see what I can do on that. I'll work on that as soon as I can. I might try to do something tonight, just something simple with Google Translate. We will see. If I do, look for it on Twitter and look for it in the comments of the videos themselves. So if I do that, you will see it in the comment section, particularly of the long video. The short video I might not do, but I might try to do it on the long video. So just keep your eyes on that for, I don't know, like I said, sometime between 6 and 12 hours after these videos go up. I don't know if I'll be able to do it, but I might. So keep your eyes out for that. That's it for now. It's not the opening we wanted. It's not an unexpected loss. I'm cool with Jeremy except for the turnovers. Just work to stay calm on those plays. Don't rush the pass. You got time. Let your teammates come and help you out. Take your time. Take your time. And again, to be fair to Jeremy, he's dramatically improved his turnovers in his time in his career. So this is getting better and better, and I know it'll get better and better still. It's just, again, because I like him, I want him to get it better quick, just because that's what I want. But he's getting better and better, and I'm sure it'll continue to improve from here as well. Same with the mental stuff, same with the aggressive one-on-one defense. Okay, that is it for now. We'll talk to you soon. I'll try to get to you on Twitter or talk to you in the comments of this video. Till then, take care. Hope you're having a great night, a great day, wherever you are around the world when you watch this video.